Hello and welcome to another Jog Vlogs session. This one is going to be continuing with the topic of weather hazards and climate change, and we are now moving on to the weather hazards aspect of the topic. So we are going to start today by looking at tropical cyclones, their formation, location and frequency. So write today's title down and then we will get straight into it. So once you've written the title down, these images actually are quite interesting to kick us off straight away. And what we've got here, and I'll focus on this map particularly, and I'll talk about this more in the session, is a map that actually shows hurricanes, cyclones and typhoons. But in short, these are all the same thing. They are all tropical cyclones. They are effectively very low pressure systems. Okay, they are all essentially the same thing, but they're just called something different depending on where they occur geographically in the world. And this map shows you where the kind of most severe tropical cyclones occur. So this is a scale called the Saphir Simpson hurricane intensity scale, and that shows you a kind of a scale of 5 being the worst type of hurricanes. Category 5 hurricanes are the real biggies. And you can see there are Category 5 hurricanes all the way along this kind of band just north of the equator, and the biggest frequency of those tends to be just off the southeast coast of Asia, okay, because the UK is over here, and you can see we are not affected by hurricanes at all. In fact, no grade 1 hurricanes reach us, but we might get tropical storms or tropical depressions. Okay, so looking at more detail then. This is going to explain where geographically the different kind of storm systems names kind of appear. So a cyclone begins in the Indian Ocean or the Southeast Pacific. So if it's a tropical storm or a tropical cyclone, a low pressure system that begins in those two geographical regions, it's called a cyclone. If it happens to begin in the Northwest Pacific, so places like Japan and Southeast Asia, then we call it a typhoon. And if it forms in the Caribbean, then it will affect the Caribbean nations, so Jamaica, Haiti, Cuba, and the southeast of the USA. Now the ones that we hear about most are the hurricanes. Hurricanes are the ones that we hear the most because they affect our American cousins. And because they affect our American cousins, there's a lot of documented evidence about that. Now, we still do hear about typhoons that affect the Northwest Pacific, and actually the reason we hear about these is because these tend to be the most severe. Typhoons tend to be really, really bad, and some of the biggest tropical cyclones in history have been effectively typhoons that formed in the Northwest Pacific. And cyclones don't tend to be quite as severe, but they can still cause major damage because all of these systems are incredibly powerful and have an incredible level of damage attached to them, both financial and social factors. So this is a handout which is on 365 in the Jog Vlogs folder. Please find it, and if you're struggling to find it, get in touch with me so I can send you a link or send you an attachment in an email. But this is going to help summarize all of the stuff we need to know today about the formation and the location and frequency of tropical cyclones. So you're going to be completing this handout. Now there are obviously a few things on this handout, and I could show you a video if I clicked on it, but you can see the YouTube link is just appearing there in a little box, and as I hover over it I'll go back on and do it again. There you go. But I believe again this video is saved on 365, so if you can get into the Jog Vlogs folder for this lesson, which is the first lesson on tropical cyclones, watch this video and it will give you a really good introduction to how the tropical cyclones form. Now once you've watched the video, that will help you essentially complete these sections, because these are all about formation, where you literally, it's a heads and tails activity. So tropical storms form in, boom, and then try and put it link it to the right thing. So form in tropical areas between 8 and 20 degrees from the equator. So that's where you'd link that up, and so try and do that. And because there's quite a lot there, you might want to number it or color code it depending on how you learn best. This is just about the location of tropical cyclones, and I've given you a blank map and a couple of boxes to complete, which again you can just take from here. But what I'd like you to do is plot on this map the different regions of tropical cyclones, or tropical storms, where they appear. So you might need to go back in the PowerPoint. Okay, so you can see on this map here that's on the front screen, that tells you everything you need to do for this map. So, so to complete this map, you want to go back in the PowerPoint, just to the timing when I showed you the front page, front screen. So these are about formation. This is about location. Frequency, I've just done that for you. Okay, you just need to read that, maybe highlight it. And then lastly, there's a section or a diagram of a tropical cyclone. And you can see the anatomy of a cyclone. So this is viewed from space. These are hundreds of miles across. And what I'd like you to do is label the eye wall, and try and put an arrow to show the anti-clockwise movement of the cyclone, and then label the sea that's over 27 degrees. The clue is the sea everywhere here has to be over 27 degrees because they don't form in anything less than that. So this essentially A3 sheet summarizes everything you need to know about tropical cyclones: formation, location, frequency, and the little parts of a tropical cyclone. So complete this sheet. It will take you about 20-25 minutes probably to do it properly, and once you've finished doing that, unpause the screen and we'll continue with the lesson. Okay, so hopefully you watched the video and you've now completed the sheet. Any trouble with that, please just show me it when you're next in school, or send me an email link of what you've done so far. But just really out of interest, and just to add a bit of interest, because this is easily the most interesting part of this topic so far, I would say, is why do we get certain names? Why are certain tropical storms called things? So some of them are called, Hurricane Katrina is probably our best known example, because it was one of the most well documented hurricanes because of the damage it caused to Florida, Louisiana, and Mississippi. But why do we give them names? Katrina, Larry, Tracy, Yassi, whatever it might be. And where's the kind of logic kind of forming from there? So click on this video, or no, you can't click on it. Follow this YouTube link, or click on the video that's stored on the Jog Vlogs folder for 365, and that will tell you about how hurricanes and tropical cyclones get their name. Okay, and that, once you've done that, is the end of that lesson. So hopefully that's a really nice brief introduction where I've condensed those notes for you in a really digestible format. Make sure you've got that A3 sheet completed, and make sure you are referring to that as often as you can, because there are questions about the formation of hurricanes and tropical cyclones in the exam, and really that knowing the formation is quite important, but knowing their location and their anatomy equally important, because they could equally give you a question where they show you a picture of one and you have to label certain features. Okay, so thank you very much for listening, and we will continue next lesson with looking at tropical cyclones. I will see you next time for another Jog Vlogs.